Welcome to Grace Notes, a weekly conversation about theology, music, and preaching from the Chapel of the Resurrection here at Valparaiso University. I'm Pastor Kate. I'm one of the university pastors here at Valpo, and I'm here with my colleagues Dr. Sunghee Kim, Director of Chapel Music, and Pastor James Wetzstein, another university pastor here on campus. And we're here to discuss what we're each thinking about as a musician and as a preacher as we're preparing to lead worship this Sunday. And we're hopeful that listening in on our conversation will be a way for you to prepare for worship, whether you're attending here with us at the chapel or in your own home congregation. Pastor Jim, we'd love to start with you this week and hear which Bible passages are interesting you this week and what you're thinking about as you prepare.
Yeah, thanks, Pastor Kate. This is an interesting pairing, again, of texts. So we've got the gospel reading, which is from Mark chapter 5, beginning at verse 21, where we've got two stories that are sandwiched together. We've got the story of Jairus, the patron of the local synagogue, asking Jesus for help with his daughter who's dying. And then as Jesus is going to attend to that, that story is interrupted by a woman who has been hemorrhaging for 18 years, and she reaches out from behind Jesus just to touch Jesus' garment and is healed in the process. And then that interruption concludes and a return to Jairus' daughter, who has then died, and Jesus then raises her back to life. And it might appear that the story of the woman with the hemorrhage is an interruption, but in fact, I think, and lots of other scholars think, that those two stories need to be seen together like a sandwich, like you're biting through two pieces of bread and the cheese in the middle and having the whole sandwich, so that we've got this combination of a man who has position, and yet in spite of his position is in great need, falling down before Jesus with an earnest request. And that's paired with a woman who wouldn't have had access to the law the way a man does in this cultural context, who has no money at all because she spent all of it on healers, and she's not receiving any benefit, but she comes to Jesus from behind. She doesn't even have, she's so timid that she approaches Jesus from behind, whereas Jairus falls down before Jesus. Again, appropriate reaction.
Yeah.
And then at the end of that, she's healed. Jesus says to her, daughter. She doesn't have a name except for the fact that Jesus calls her daughter, so includes her in the family. And then we've got the healing of the raising of Jairus' daughter, and Jairus loses heart along the way because his daughter dies, and so Jairus needs encouragement along the way, whereas this poor woman is just hopeful. Right? So it's just an interesting interplay of how we are before Jesus, and who knows who Jesus is in Mark. That's a continuing theme. And how faith is credited to those who seek Jesus' help. So that's an interesting thing. And here at the chapel, we've got a bas-relief sculpture, actually, of the Talitha Cum moment in the back of the space by the prayer corner. So that's a fun little local application of that. And then in combination with that, we've got a reading from 2 Corinthians, where Paul is essentially calling the Corinthian church to task for the fact that they've made a pledge of support to the poor in Jerusalem and are not coming through with it. And so he's calling them to commit to their pledge. But what I love about the way Paul talks about their responsibility is he aligns their abundance of goods with Jerusalem's abundance of need. And the community in Jerusalem becomes not a requirement of Corinth, it becomes an opportunity for Corinth. And I love that because when we're talking about fundraising and SALT, one of the lectures that I give the students is fundraising is not begging. Fundraising is inviting people into an opportunity that they couldn't pull off on their own. And so here Paul is saying, you have an opportunity here in the abundance of need of your sisters and brothers to fulfill. So those two stories are not intimately connected in any way, except that there's this sort of through theme of abundance and need and posture before Jesus. So that's what I'm thinking about as I anticipate Sunday morning.
That's fantastic.
Thank you.
I can't wait to hear how you work all that out.
I can't either.
Thank you so much, Pastor Jim.
Yeah.
Dr. Kim, we got to hear a stanza of the hymn "Sing Out, Earth and Skies" at the very beginning of this recording, and then we'll hear another version of that at the end. And so why that hymn and that arrangement for this week?
Well, that hymn title, Sing Out, Earth and Skies, it sounds like very general.
Mhm.
It's about the praising God with joy and happiness. But if you look at the hymn text, it's about inviting God to the worship service and asking God to be the host of believers. So each stanza begins with this kind of text. Stanza 1, "Come, O God of all the earth." Second one, "Come, O God of wind and flame. Come, O God of flashing light. Come, O God of snow and rain. Come, O justice. Come, O peace." So I thought this hymn and this particular arrangement would be really good to open the service, to begin the service. So we acknowledge God, the Lord of the worship service. It's not just about people's gathering, it's about God's people's gathering. So I thought this hymn and this tune would be good to open the service. And the other reason why I chose this hymn and the arrangement for this Sunday is when I read the text from the refrain, I also thought that is quite related to the theme of the service, the gospel reading. So the refrain text is, "Sing out, earth and skies, sing of the God who loves you. Raise your joyful cries, dance to the life around you." So I was wondering what the woman would do after she was healed, and what the parents and the family would do after the child was raised from death. They may sing a song like this and then dance, and then the whole village may have the festivals. So I thought this piece would be really good for concluding the whole academic year and then summer season, because this Sunday will be our last Sunday service that we prepare at the chapel.
So it's a way to celebrate the year as well as to kind of tap into what people may have been celebrating in the gospel story.
It's been a really tough year, actually, years.
Yeah.
But we made it through with God's help.
Yeah.
So I wanted to celebrate with uplifting and lively music.
That's
and the
really
hymns
beautiful.
too.
Thank you for that. That's a great opportunity for us. As we're listening to the organ arrangement of the hymn, do you have any musical elements we should be listening for?
Oh, yes. Well, Mary Beth Bennett treated each stanza in different ways in her arrangement. So it's interesting to listen to the different texture, in other words, the number of voices and the rhythm, and then the change of meters. Actually, on the score, there is no indication about the registration or the change of the keyboards or the dynamics. So it requires organist imagination on the organ bench. So in the recording, you may see my hands moving from one keyboard to the other. And then I also tried to create some kind of crescendo effect at the end of the piece. So I recommend you to look at my fingers and then listen to the crescendo effect.
Well, that's fantastic. I like that that's an opportunity for you to express your creativity and interpretation of the music too. That's beautiful. Well, thanks to both of you for sharing all your insights this week. Once again, this has been Grace Notes, and I'm Pastor Kate here with Pastor Jim and Dr. Kim. If you have any questions or comments, or if you're having trouble finding a congregation to worship with wherever you are always welcome to email us at chapel@valpo.edu, and we promise to write back. Until next week, we bid you peace, And now please enjoy this organ arrangement of Sing Out, Earth and Skies by Mary Beth Bennett, played by Dr. Kim.